Okay friends, so now we are back for the next lesson, and at this point you should have all 24 of your blocks done, or however many blocks you have decided you are going to do for this project. And it is now time to start joining these blocks together. Now the first thing you have to do is determine and figure out which is the right side of the block and which is the wrong side of the block, because you will be putting these blocks wrong sides together in order to join them. It's very easy to determine what's the right side and what's the wrong side. If you look at the center of your flower, you will see this ridge, because if you remember when we did this step, we joined the petal color to the center color by inserting in the back loop only. And so that created this little ridge right here. I'm hoping that is picking up on camera. This little ridge indicates the front of your block. This is the right side of your block. If you flip your block over, you can distinctly tell the difference. This side is much flatter and not as interesting. This is the back. This is the wrong side of your block. Just like material when you're sewing has a right side and a wrong side, this is the wrong side, or the back. This is the front. This is the back, this is the front. You can tell very easily by looking for this little ridge. So what you need to do is to put wrong sides together. So this is the back of this block, this is the back of this block, and you want to put them together. And then you're going to line up the corner, the 3 chain space or the 2 chain space that you did in the corner of each block, and you're going to put those together. And I kind of stick my finger in there to keep them together. And then you're going to take your yarn and you're going to have it slip stitched onto your hook, and you're just going to do a slip stitch to join it to that corner. So a slip stitch as you bring it up, and then you go ahead and bring it on through, and then you're going to chain 1. Now before I go on, I want to mention that you can join, if you are a seasoned crocheter and you have crocheted Afghans before and you've connected blocks before, you can join these blocks together in whatever manner that you're used to doing. It really doesn't matter. You can use a yarn hook and join them that way, or you can use a crochet hook. You can do whatever way you like to join the blocks together. I'm just going to show you my preferred method. That's not to say that my method is right and your method is wrong. It really doesn't matter. It's however you want to do it. But the way I typically join blocks together when I'm crocheting is, after you attach your yarn and chain 1, I always try to catch the tails in my work as I go along. It just leaves a cleaner project in the end. What you're going to do is insert your hook in the back loop of the stitch in the block that's facing you, and then in the block that's behind, you're going to insert your hook in the front loop. And then you just do a single crochet. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over. So let me show you that again. You're going to insert your hook. This is the stitch we're working in right here. This is the front loop, this is the back loop. You're going to insert your hook into the back loop. And then on this side, on this other block, this is the stitch we're working in right here. This is the front loop. This is the back loop. You're going to insert it into the front loop so that the two loops that are next to each other are what is going to be attaching it together. And this is just the tail, and I'm just catching that in just to make it a clean finish. So but I'm going to get it out of the way for this next time so you can see better what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll show you one more time. This is the stitch in the block that is in front, and you will insert your hook in the back loop of that stitch. Then in this block, which is the back block, or the block that's to the facing the back, this is the stitch we're working in right here. Right here. That's the back loop, that's the front loop. You will insert it into the front loop. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, single crochet. And you're going to do that all the way down the seam. It's the back loop, that's the front loop. That's the back loop, that's the front loop. Okay, so like I said, you're going to do this all the way down to the end. Let me put that in fast motion so I can get to the end, and then I'll show you what to do. So then when you get to the other end, back to the other two chain spaces, you just go ahead and single crochet in there, and then you fasten off. And you fasten off in the same manner that we've been doing all along. You cut the thread or the yarn, pull it through, pull it down, and then tie a little knot. And so when you get this done and you open this up, you will see that there is a ridge running down the front of your work. And this would be the right side of your work. As you go along, you want to catch in all the ends as much as you can, and if there's any little bit hanging off, you want to trim those flush with your work. It just kind of keeps everything neat and tidy as you go along, and then you won't have as many tails to work in at the end. Now, like I said, you can join these blocks in whatever manner you want to. If you don't want this ridge down the middle of each block, you can join them in a way that they are flush and just flat. But this is my preferred method. This is the way I like to do it. And I kind of like the extra element of this detailing that it adds to the front of the work. And then of course the back of the work, it's just flat. So this would be the part that would be laying against your skin, this flat side. So there won't be any of these bumps and ridges that will be laying next to your skin if you're covering up with this. So if you're doing the full Afghan, you're going to want to join these blocks in the same manner until you have 6 blocks together. This Afghan is 6 blocks long by 4 blocks wide. So you're going to need 4 rows of 6. So go ahead and finish joining all of these blocks together until you have 4 rows of 6, and then come back and I will show you how to join the rows together. Okay, welcome back. Now I would say you have 4 rows of 6 blocks joined together, and now it's time to join the rows together, and it's done in exactly the same way. You use the exact same method of joining the rows together as you did in joining the blocks together. You want to make sure that you have wrong sides facing each other, that you start in the corner of the 2 chain space, that you join with a slip stitch and chain 1. And then you just do the same exact crochet in each stitch, the back loop of the front block, the front loop of the back block, all the way down. And what you're going to want to take special attention to is that your seams match up. Like this is the joining seam of one row, this is the joining seam of the back row, and you're just going to want to make sure that when you crochet those together that you have them completely lined up, because then that way your blocks will all look even. Now sometimes that might take a little bit of fancy stretching, because like me, if you're like me, not all of your blocks are exactly the same size. It depends on if you were tired that day when you were completing that block, you might have crocheted a little bit looser, or if you were tense and you crocheted a little bit tighter. But the nice thing about yarn is that it's very flexible. You can stretch one block to fit the other block. You can skip stitches. You can crochet 2 stitches together to make up for the extra room if there's one block that's maybe a stitch or 2 wider than the other block. But whatever you need to do in order to join these together, the most important thing is that whenever you get to a crossroads, as you might say, that these blocks are even. So even if you have to go through and pin each joining, each intersection as you go, do whatever you need to do to make sure that your stitches come out even. So that is your assignment for this week. Go ahead and get all of your blocks joined together, get all of your rows joined together, and then when we come back next week, I will show you how to do the first row of the trim to finish off the edges. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that you're having fun in this series. If you are just joining me now, go back to the beginning of the playlist and participate. This has been a lot of fun. I know there's a couple of my subscribers that are doing this with me, and I think they're having a blast too. Thanks a lot for watching, friends, and until next time, happy crocheting!